Today I'm going to be talking about my experience at Polimoda doing my Master of Fashion Art Direction. I get so many questions about this, kind of just my overall experience, and I thought I'd do a sit-down video talking about all sides of my experience, all areas of interest, just to give anyone a insight into what a student's experience is. I know it's so helpful to hear a first-hand experience, and I think since I've talked about it a lot on my TikTok, I've done a few get ready with me's talking about different aspects of my experience, but I kind of want to just sit down and give you guys the full rundown of everything that I experienced while I was at Polimoda for 9 months, so let's get right into it. Little background, I'm Canadian. I have a Bachelor of Design in Fashion Communications from Toronto Metropolitan University. I was supposed to go on exchange to Amsterdam, which got cancelled. So I was supposed to go to Australia, then I was supposed to go to Amsterdam. That's a whole other story. I go more into it into my previous video about getting accepted to Polimoda. Once that was cancelled, I was like, I still want to study abroad. I looked at master's programs. I knew I wanted to work in magazines. This one came up in mentorship with Vogue Italia. I was like, why wouldn't I apply? So I applied in May of 2022, end of April 2022. I had an interview 2 weeks later and I got in 2 weeks after that. And then I was in Italy from October 2022 to June of 2023. It's a 9-month program, very intensive, but I now have a Master of Arts in Fashion Art Direction. And yeah, so that is just the backstory of who I am, why I went. So I really wanted to study abroad. I'll kind of talk about like Polimoda itself. I think I knew about Polimoda from a business fashion article about the best fashion schools in the world. I was always considering like Central St. Martin's, Institut de la Mode in Paris, obviously an English program, an international school. I really just wanted in-person classes in a very specific area of fashion. I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. I kind of like did my more research on art direction. I had an art direction class in my undergrad that I really enjoyed, and I do a lot of photography as well. So I was like, this is a well-rounded program compared to any other one I researched. So I was like, I'm just gonna apply for this one. I kind of decided I wanted to go to Polimoda regardless. I was also looking at their marketing and communications program, but it started at a different time. So if I didn't get into art direction, I would have had to wait to go to the marketing and communication one in like March. But I got in, obviously. So it's the only one I applied for. So I can't really give any information on different application processes because I feel like it's very different depending on the school you go to. I know Parsons, you need like reference letters, you need so many different other things. Polimoda, what I needed was answer a few questions like what's my favorite photographer, what's my favorite campaign, fashion campaign, or kind of general questions about that. And then we had to do an essay at the topic, but we had to do an essay. Then we had to have a portfolio. Art direction was one of the few programs that required a portfolio. So I waited until May to apply because I was finishing my undergrad and I really wanted to show them my thesis project, which was an editorial book where I did the photography, typography. I did a lot of analog work like painting and scanning into Photoshop and graphic design, layout design. So I really wanted to showcase that because I felt like that was most inherent to what the program set you up to do. So essentially I showed them that in my interview. I got the interview. In the interview, we talked about my portfolio. He also said that it was good that I knew InDesign because we'd be using InDesign a lot. Going into the program, how it's set up is you have various hours per class. You have about 20 different classes throughout the 9 months with different amounts of hours allotted to each class. Does that make sense? So for example, we had the most hours of graphic design class. Following that was probably like art direction class. We had art direction for video. We had digital web design. We had styling, fashion styling, area of fashion you could think of. It was honestly like theory of photography. It was a well-rounded experience because we had a lot of technical work. Like it was mainly technical focus, which I really appreciated because we were doing projects, but it was also like theory backed and based. One thing I will say, people in master's programs, I feel like anywhere, come from a variety of backgrounds. I was someone who knew InDesign well, I knew graphic design well, and a lot of people in my program did not know graphic design well. So when we were learning in these classes, it was stuff I already knew, which kind of felt like, not like a waste of money, but it just felt kind of, obviously they can't cater to everyone's like skill level, but there are people of various skill levels. So if you're more skilled in one thing, it may feel like more of a waste of time, but at least you can work on it, practice it. That was just like one annoyance I kind of had. Not that it was anyone's fault that they didn't know InDesign, but we spent a lot of like basic beginner time on how to use InDesign. So, but it is very much focused towards magazines, graphic design, photo shoots, photography. Photography was another one we had a lot of hours of. How it's structured as in terms of projects and grading, everything is out of 30. Honestly, your grades don't matter because you're going to graduate. They're not going to fail you. You paid the money to go to the school. They're not going to fail you. Is how I think it works. Unless you're literally not doing the work and you need to drop out or something. But if you're paying the money, you're not going to be slacking to go to this school. So it is a lot of work. Compared to my undergrad, I don't think it was as much work because in my undergrad, I had various electives and different things to do, like essays to write. This one, I literally did not write. I wrote a few essays for like theory photography. We had to write an essay, but it's not very much like more lax than like they teach you about like research and essay writing and in like the Canadian university system. I feel like is more strict and specific when it comes to writing requirements. I don't know if that makes any sense. I just feel like obviously like you don't need to be an expert essay writer to be an art director, so there's less weight on your writing ability. So we did write a few essays. But most of our work was centered around photo shoot production and physical layouts for campaign. We did one campaign. We did a fanzine magazine. And then our final project was very broad. So our first project, you pick your own groups. They are all group projects. There's 3 overarching projects that kind of have a project leader per project, and they go on for a few months each. They're not tied to one class, but you do have like one class with the project leader. Like our first one was centered around our art direction leader. Our second one I think was fashion communication, and then our third one it was fashion studies professor. They're all centered around one class, but you're using the skills of every other class, and the professors of every other class are giving you feedback on this big project, regardless if you're doing another smaller project for that specific professor. So we had 3 projects. One, we had to kind of create a fanzine based on a magazine. Second one, we had to create a campaign, a brand repositioning by introducing a new campaign for a brand we thought wasn't really communicating their brand voice well, I guess. It required a lot of research and then execution. And then our third one, they said basically redefine a magazine. So that was very much broad, but throughout these 3 projects, you learn so many skills. You're doing graphic design, you're doing production, you're coordinating collaborators. The thing with these projects is obviously you're funding them yourself. People come from different backgrounds of being able to fund what they can pay for. So I didn't have a big budget to contribute. So a lot of the projects we did honestly was collaborations with local students who are photographers, models. You could just ask other students to model for you. It was a lot about networking within the Polimoda community, but also there was Marangoni, which a lot of students across can collaborate with Polimoda. So people are just asking and collaborating and looking for people. There's a Instagram page called Polimoda People, which posts we're looking for a photographer, give them like a mood board and then discuss it. But sometimes people will pay people to do stuff. Like some people did videos and they paid videographers to like produce the video, because as an art director you're not really the one doing the physical work. You're the one with the concept and the idea, and you kind of build the team around you. So it's a lot about building the team, exercising that ability to like seek out talent, choose people to help execute your idea, your creative idea. It's a lot of collaborating and stuff. So my first group was a group of 3, second group was 4 people, and then third group it was just me and one other person. Normal group sizes are 3 to 5, I think. No, maybe 4 was the max. In my last project, me and my friend asked to do it alone with just the 2 of us because we had a really cool idea. We were allowed to do that. So they're very much, it's not so strict in like particular. I feel like the professors trust you enough to know what's best for your creative idea, and they want to work with you. They're very helpful. I honestly think like in terms of professors at Polimoda, like I learned so much, such cool backgrounds that they had, a lot of different classes as I said that we took. So I was very satisfied with like what I learned regardless of things I already knew. It definitely set me up for like wanting to be an art director in the fashion industry. I really think that's like the career path I really wanted to do. So I'm very happy I got to study and have that experience and get a master's from it. So yeah, I definitely honestly don't have many complaints. I think kind of going off of the projects, the first one honestly kind of a struggle because you don't really know who you're working with. I feel like another thing that's really hard sometimes is group projects. I am definitely an introvert. It takes me a lot to ask somebody to be my partner, and nobody really knew each other in the first project, but it worked out honestly for me. Like I was satisfied with all the groups I had. My work got better as the projects went on. I got more comfortable and got to know the people I was working with, but a lot of the time like I think I got lucky with my groups because I was very satisfied. Everyone was civil like, I think honestly, like, I was happy with the outcome of the last 2 more, but the first one I'm not, like, nobody's fault. I think it was just everyone was new to the idea of this working with basically strangers, because like we barely knew each other a month into the program. I was very satisfied honestly with everyone that I worked with. A lot of the time I feel like personalities can clash. There was like, it's such a small group. It's 20, we were a group of 20. They said that was a large group for a master's class. Normally it's less than 20, and I think just when you're honestly like you are with the same people through every single class every single day, you're gonna get to know people well, you're gonna get to know people's strengths and weaknesses, people's personalities really well, which honestly isn't a bad thing. I think it really helps create a community, and it's really nice to have that group of people. Obviously people are gonna disagree. Honestly, sometimes I think it was just the environment of being with the same people all the time. It kind of feels like high school because you're just like such a tight-knit group that you're gonna hear things happen. So just be prepared for kind of expected drama when you're honestly in the same environment with the same people so much. I think it's just inevitable that it's gonna there's gonna be some conflict between people, but also going away kind of from the density of the program itself. The school, Polimoda, has 3 campuses. We were at 2 campuses. We were at Villa Favard, which is downtown city center. They call it Centre Historico. Historic Center, city center, is Villa Favard. It's literally a villa, an 18th century villa. It's beautiful. That was a 10-minute walk from me because I lived center, like literally right by the Arno River, center of Florence. That was a 10-minute walk from me, but we always had to take the tram or the bus. The bus system not reliable in Florence. Oh my gosh, I refused to take the bus because it was so unreliable. So many people always miss class because the bus was late. If you lived in the city center, just be aware that you have to take the tram or the bus to Manifattura Tabacchi, which is outside the city. About 20 minutes on the tram or 15 minutes on the bus, 30-minute walk. The walk is kind of sketchy, I'm not gonna lie. Cascine, the park there in Florence, do not hang around there. It's sketchy as heck, so would not recommend walking. And then even further out at like the end of the tram line is Scandici, which is where all the design labs are for fashion design. Manifattura Tabacchi has like studios, photography studios, and some fashion design studios, and some classrooms in like Mac labs and computer labs. Villa Favard just kind of has classrooms, a few computer labs. It's like the main campus in terms of that that's where like most of the classrooms are rather than studios. So those are the 3 campuses. If you're in the art direction, obviously if you're in business, I think you mostly have it at like Villa Favard because you don't really need the studios. What else was I gonna talk about? Florence itself, really loved Florence itself. I think anyone would be happy to live there. It's just such a beautiful city. I don't speak any Italian and I got by okay. The school also is all in English. They have Italian courses, I think, but very limited. Most master's programs are English because they want them to appeal to more international people, because they honestly do a lot of press and publicity to appeal to the international school. To appeal internationally. Because 70% international students. I'm not sure, but it's very international. People from all over the world were in my class, which is so nice to just hear different perspectives and everything. I think it was so interesting and really nice to just get to know different kinds of people and not just be stuck in your like small community. Going off of Vogue Italia, I think I was saying it wasn't so worth it because not everyone got to do a photo shoot with them, but obviously it's really cool for the people that got to do the photo shoot. We still got to be on set. It was a really cool experience to see and everything, but it just would have been nice if like more students got to participate in like actually being an art director for a Vogue Italia photo shoot. But overall, I think we learned a lot from Vogue Italia. I think we got to go see their offices, but the thing with the field trips at Polimoda is we kind of had to like not beg them, but like ask them multiple times to be able to do things, because they would take other students to like Paris Fashion Week and it's fully funded trips, pay for the train, they pay for accommodation. We got to go to the Venice Biennale, but only because we really asked. It was like a last minute thing. So definitely like they will do really cool field trips because you're near so much art and stuff, but definitely advocate as a class to be able to go. We had to advocate to go because they promised us we'd go to Photo Vogue, and we almost didn't go because it just didn't work out. So we had to and we almost didn't go to see the Vogue offices, and like that was like description of the program online. I was like, you get to go visit the Vogue offices. It just didn't work out in timing. It was like May by the time I got to go, but I'm really glad we did get to go because we asked to go. So it just kind of like the school itself, they're not super organized on field trips and stuff, but they will listen to students, which I really appreciated because we did really get to go do cool things. We got to go to Venice for a night. It was fully paid. We got to go to Milan for a few day trips. We went to the Venice Biennale, as I said. In terms of what I'm doing after, I'm literally still on the job hunt. I think it's just very tricky depending where you're from and what kind of visa you can get. As a Canadian, I can get a visa easily for like the UK, but for the EU, you either have to be sponsored by a company there, and I think it's just somebody who's been in school for 5 years straight. I don't have any like solid work experience, so in my head it was just best that I come back to Canada, get a job here for a year or two, kind of just pay off my loans and stuff, and then move abroad again if I want, or look for a job abroad. Just the thing of the visa is just such a headache sometimes. I think I can get one in the UK, so London's very much a prospect for me in the future. The job market sucks, may I just say. Everyone's path is different. I'm not angry, it's just taking longer than expected, I think. Also, another thing I want to mention in terms of the Vogue thing and extracurricular opportunities, I got to be an art director for Outpump Digital Cover. They kind of sprung this like contest-esque thing on us. We were partnered with another art direction student and styling students to create a concept for 3 digital cover shoots for an actress, a singer, and an athlete, and our concept won for Italian actress, so we got to be on set with her, we got to coordinate the styling, we got to find a photographer, so you really got to like be an art director for like an actual publication, which was so cool. That was something I'm so happy that I got to do, and that our concept won. That gave me so much confidence and experience. Very grateful for that opportunity that they gave us also. So they do give you some opportunities like that come about in terms of their partnerships with different media companies and stuff. I'll insert some photos of what I did for that. I also have my book here. This is the photo book that I did for my final project with my friend Alessia. It is a double cover photo book that we printed because we really wanted to print something. So, this was such a thing. It was so much fun though, honestly. The best thing I have in my portfolio. I am so happy we printed it. It's called per contra, which means by contrast in Italian. It's the portfolio pieces that I've gathered from my master's that I couldn't have gotten anywhere else, and the professional experience I got with that Outpump thing, and the mentorship with Vogue Italia was all worth it in the end. Rather than doing exchange and getting a master's as well, it's just now getting my foot in the door somewhere, then I feel set up regardless. So yeah, definitely apply. I feel like I don't have much negative things to say about Polimoda. I think Italy for fashion, you can't get any better than that. So studying fashion in Italy, like I get to say I studied fashion in Italy, which is pretty cool. Yeah, overall, really good experience. Really would recommend. If you have any other questions, comment them below. I honestly miss a lot of the DMs that I get because they always go in my hidden requests on Instagram, but also if you comment them here or on my TikToks, I will definitely see them more. I'm always wanting to help other students want to go because I know how hard it is to decide or know more about a program, so I'm definitely open to helping anyone who has questions. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. I probably do more videos on this at some point, a Q&A if you have any more questions, specific questions. Very grateful for that experience and that I got to go abroad, that I had a great experience. So yeah, that's all for me today. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video.